All right. Before we start today's episode, we wanted to give a shout out to our patrons over on Patreon.
They are the sponsors of the show, keeping the lights on, keeping the beer and the music coming in. That's what we're using our money for. So we got Eric Sari, Andy Herbrandt, Lauren L., Paul C., Hanson Screen Printing, and our newest, Rock the Green. We thank you guys. Eric, cue up that main intro.
Hey, welcome to the Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russell Sari.
This podcast is about all things Wisconsin, history, music, culture, and beer. Although we don't often use strong language, the content is not intended for young audiences, so listener discretion is advised.
If you love the bluegrass music you hear in this intro, please check out Dang It's from Madison, Wisconsin by visiting their website, dang-its.com. Now on to the show.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast, your weekly dose of the Dairy State. We are, of course, your hosts, Eric.
And I'm Russ.
And we are back again with another riveting piece of haunted and spooky Wisconsin lore. But before we jump into any of that spookiness, we also wanted to remind all of you, if you haven't done so already, or if you're new here, please go on and like, rate, subscribe, review, that normal checklist of items that most podcasts beg you to complete. What it really does is it changes that algorithm behind the scenes of YouTube and Apple and all that stuff. And what it might do is boost us to the top of someone's suggested podcasts if they listen to things about history or comedy. And that would really just help us in ways that no one probably understands. It's a crazy game, that internet stuff. So, and also, hey, we have our website, WisconsinDrunkenHistory.com. It is literally the single best place for us to get information to you, and also for you to go shopping and do all this other stuff.
Yeah, and today we have really awesome music from Billy Russo. We have a brewski reviewski,
of course,
as always. The infamous "How Many Locos You At?"
Absolutely.
And we have a special interview today with one of Us Brewing, which I'm really excited about.
Which we were traveling, I think, just a couple weeks ago to pick up our new dog that we had gotten, we had rescued, and we passed one of Us Brewing.
And that is in Mount Pleasant, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yep.
And
awesome.
that was, honestly, the first time I had heard of it and seen it. So I was very excited to see another one pop up. I always love checking out new microbrews and nano brews like this, because it's it is such a deep ingrained piece of our culture in Wisconsin and especially in the Milwaukee area and stuff. So very cool to see, and I can't wait to talk with them. So today's main story here is of Haunchyville. It is
just crazy.
Exactly. And this thing dates back to the 1950s and is actually located right here in Muskego, where Russ and I tend to do all of these episodes. And we are it's a little legend, right? Pun intended. And
short people guy.
Right, exactly.
No even.
Drives us right back to
Randy Newman.
Randy
Newman and Haunchyville.
But so the origins of this cool lore and legend are mostly mutually agreed upon. The information available is primarily eyewitness reports, and we'll get into some of those really cool stories.
I'm excited.
But this legend is also fading. It is not as long-lived as some of the other ones that we've already discussed, and then also some of the ones that we have yet to discuss.
Yeah.
So this story brings us to Muskego, Wisconsin. Like I said, this is in the 50s. This is a city that's in Waukesha County. It's about the fifth largest city in the county, around 25,000 people as of 2020. This is about 20 minutes southwest of Milwaukee. If you haven't heard of it, it's kind of a small town. And Muskego is home to Haunchyville, and it's best known as a little community.
Little community. Yeah, a short community.
It's just a short drive. No, just kidding. So, but it's a little community off of Mystic Drive, and that's near Big Muskego Lake. They don't necessarily call it Big Muskego Lake. There's Muskego Lake, and then there's Little Muskego Lake. So, most of us just refer to Muskego Lake as Big.
Okay.
So that way people know what we're talking about in terms of little and big. But yeah, so it's said to have been formed by a group of retired or even possibly disgruntled circus employees, mostly from like the freak show or sideshow, and they sought out some sort of a retreat from the cruel average-sized world because, as you can imagine, the 1950s is a totally different time, and things are pretty center thought, right?
Oh yeah, Leave It to Beaver type families and stuff, after war families.
Yeah, and so I mean, a lot of the things that are being produced at this time don't have anybody else in mind. They're only thinking about the average human, average American being like 5 foot to 6 foot tall. Yeah. So it's a very weird world, I think, at that point, and not as accepting either. So you can imagine being a part of, at that time deemed a freak show.
So what is the politically correct term for short? Is it short person?
I don't know. I think it's short person, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to offend anybody.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm not going to say.
I'm tap dancing.
We're not Randy Newman and making bad statements about short people.
So. This is not Randy Newman.
Short people.
1970s, 80s kind of shit here. We're not gonna.
You got a friend in me, but you also got short people, which is like, what is going on?
Well, right. Song? I mean, he had some good hits, but that one a little controversial. Yeah. So, and hey, we've discussed plenty of Wisconsin circus history on this show, so this is all making sense really at this point. And we know the circus wasn't much for political correctness, and its fair share of oddities and bizarre stuff. So. The Legend of Honsheville has been written about in a handful of books, but there are thousands of encounters documented, whether that's on the internet or in a couple of these publications as well. But one thing remains pretty consistent among all of the reports. There are small stone homes in setting back kind of in a long native prairie grass cornfield type area, and it's a long gravel drive that's private, and that's on Mystic Drive, like I mentioned before. Some say they are extremely violent, and they will murder and mutilate anybody who trespasses. The one thing we know for sure is that Muskego PD will definitely ticket you. They will murder and mutilate you for going there. Because it's got a no trespassing sign. It's got a private sign on the drive. Anybody who goes there, you're at your own risk because, they're out there and they are patrolling, and the individuals that live down Mystic Drive just want a fucking peaceful life.
Yeah, exactly.
And imagine, people just constantly going out there at all hours of the day, mostly night, and walking around and filming and stuff. And it's just kind of weird. So, some say they are extremely violent, but we also have reports of individuals who say they hurt them, and then these individuals scattered back into their homes, didn't have anything at all. Now there's also an added report into this legend of the Haunchies that there's a security of sorts, that they have a giant albino shotgun wielding individual.
Holy smokes!
Who even though the Haunchies might be pleasant and skittish, the albino guy isn't.
He's ready to plug you.
It feels like people were afraid of short people, and people were afraid of albinos, and they probably saw one in the circus and then made up these stories about these little things, and
Yeah, so I wanted to read a few takes of people that have went out to Haunchyville from Weird Wisconsin. So it's a really awesome book. It's like pretty much all just weird stuff in Wisconsin. And these are people that have actually been out there. So I marked some of the stories I wanted to read on this podcast for you guys. So the first one is titled, "They May Be Little, But They Have Big Guns." So the story goes, one of my friends has actually been there. This is a story he told me. One night, me and some friends were cruising around and went through this little town, Muskego, obviously. It was really weird. There were little houses and little stores and even little people walking around. Well, I guess they didn't like big people because one of the little guys in a truck was trying to run us off the road. He even had a shotgun he was pointing at us. We didn't expect him to shoot us, so we just flipped him off. Then he shot at us. It went right through the windows, barely missing us. After that, we slammed on the gas and got the hell out of there. That was the first story I wanted to read. So I don't know. This one comes from, obviously the names are kind of like fake pseudo names that they have, but it's MUZIC LVR 85. So I think it's Music Lover 85 is the name that's they're trying to get across here. So this one, like, to me, doesn't sound right. I mean, it sounds like somebody made this up to kind of, you know what I mean?
Like
this
horseshit.
Yeah, yeah, horseshit.
I don't believe it for 1 second.
I mean, and you live in Muskego, so you know the legends around here. You know the area.
Shot at your car and it went through the windows.
And you wouldn't report that to the police.
You didn't report that?
Yeah, exactly. So that one's
full of shit.
Exactly. So next one is titled Signs, Everywhere Signs. My friend and I went out to Haunchyville tonight. We saw the signs at the gate. Obviously, the do not go on public.
Trespass.
Do not
private,
trespass.
Private drive, yeah.
And it was very weird. There were 3 different roads, and we went straight, ignoring the signs, and about halfway down, we noticed what we thought might be a gate to Haunchyville. But then 3 men appeared. They walked towards our car and threw something at us. At that point, we just sped off. And that was from BJM 1982. And the next one I have is the one Eric brought up at the end. For trespassing, there are large fines in small Haunchyville.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have been to Haunchyville with carloads of friends, and I'm not sure, but I think we went the wrong way. But either way, we never saw any of the midgets, and we ended up with a big fat $276 trespassing fine. So if you decide to go to Haunchyville, which I thought was pretty creepy, make sure you don't go right way and don't flash your headlights in someone's driveway. Page. So there you go. Don't go to Haunchyville. Don't go looking for this legend. Yeah. I don't even think there's like a lot of truth to this one. It's been reported though for years. I mean, this one's been. And I got one more for you before we close out the show today. And this one is called Mutilated by Little Creatures. I first heard the story growing up in Greendale about 30 years ago. We were told that the area was once home to a group of midgets who had worked in the circus. Years later, after the area had been abandoned, a teenager couple parked their car in the cornfields to make out. And they were attacked by little creatures, quote unquote, that left scratches on the marks on the roof of their car, and the teenagers were found dead, mutilated in the car. We used to skip school and drive out there in the cornfields, and strangely, there were little roads going through the cornfields and small shacks and little boats. I never went back there as an adult to put it all together, but I'm sure what I saw and some rational explanation, and that was from Rich. So, I mean, there are legends of it being real, that there are people back there at some point, whether it's kids and they're just like freaked out because of the legends or whatever that is. We can't necessarily put our finger on it 100%, right? So we can't define it. I know, Eric, you live here. You've been by Mystic Drive. You never went down the private drive, obviously. You don't want to get the fine. So you've never been down the private drive.
I've been down Mystic Drive, and then at the end, you do see that, hey, you could go down, but there's a very clearly posted private, don't trespass. So, I don't go down there because that reason alone. I'm not looking to.
You don't want that $300 fine,
right? I don't want to be fined, and I certainly don't want to be on the radar of Muskego PD. So, I definitely stay the hell away. I'm not going to say that there isn't maybe these little stone huts and things like that, but
they could just be old farm remnants.
I was just going to say that the farm culture that's around here, I mean, that's deep ingrained, and it is, also there's reasons for having smaller outbuildings like that.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. Whether it's be a washroom, house or well house. There's a lot of reasons for those.
So. Yeah. So I do believe at some point that there was a reason for those buildings. And they can be easily explained away by chatting with somebody, an older farmer or something like that, or a farm historian, and it would be easy to explain. Now, the individuals who lied and said
they got shot,
somebody shot at them,
they fought an albino with a shotgun. Right. There's a lot of stories out there, and it's been going on for many years. Like this has continued on till today.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we can't go down the private drive to. You confirm this. I'm sure even if we call them, they're like, no, you can't come out here. So we'll never really know the truth.
Yeah.
But to me, it just doesn't sound real.
So there was land for sale recently, and there was a realtor who hired the realtor that was selling the property hired one of those aerial photographers with drones and stuff, and that individual was allowed to go out there. So he parked, he brought out all of his equipment. He didn't see anything.
There were no circus people that beat him up.
He didn't see any buildings even. And that was last year, 2020.
So we didn't see like the Wizard of Oz lollipop kids, like
no yellow brick
kids.
road,
no yellow brick roads,
no weird monkeys with wings and shit,
no albinos.
Yeah. So
again,
good. I hate to be the downer for all these monsters and myths and lore and all this shit, but I just think that there's an easier way for them to be explained. Now,
at the same time, though, Wisconsin does have a lot of circus history, and where are these people to go? So, a lot of there was a lot of pop-up tents and stuff like this. Maybe
Absolutely.
They were there at some point and they left just as a stopping point. We don't know the truth. Like, what it started somehow. There's probably some truth to all this, but to me, like, especially today, I don't think there's any legend out there anymore. So. Yeah, that's going to conclude our main segment for today, and now on to our music segment.
All right, so we are on to our music segment, and we have a truly tasty piece of music for you today. Billy Russo of the Milwaukee area.
It's really cool music, kind of like alternative indie sound.
Exactly.
Like, just kind of fits in with the genre you love.
And just absolutely phenomenal. First of all, the musicianship is great, and the song is absolutely amazing. So the writing and the recording of that is great, but then also whoever produced and mixed and mastered this thing, I think did an excellent job.
Oh yeah, it sounds great.
I absolutely love.
Nothing like stands out as being like too loud or obnoxious. Like I think they did a really good job on this recording. Another Wisconsin band. I'm just like proud that they're
pumped.
Stay. Yeah, I'm pumped up too.
I think again, it's just kind of one of those. Hey. In a couple of years, I feel like we're going to be talking about them playing on, the bigger stages, maybe even kind of opening for a bigger act. And then, a year later, they're going to be headlining their own shit. So just keep an eye out. Billy Russo, you kind of got to type in like Billy Russo, musician, Milwaukee or something like that.
So you can find the exact
right, because there are other Billy Russos out
William
there.
Russo, obviously.
Right.
So
famous composer and stuff.
Yeah.
So check out Billy Russo. And this song that we chose today is Distant Voices. It is an absolute hit.
Otherwise, we'll end up right back on our over.
All right. That again was Billy Russo, Distant Voices, and they are again from Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. Very awesome alternative indie style band. I absolutely love. Again, like I said before, the whole mix and mastering of that track. I thought it was pretty expertly done, and I really enjoy kind of that feel, especially like that bass guitar. I love that thump. It just felt really good. So check them out. Like I said, it's easiest if you Google them, kind of with that idea of saying Billy Russo, Milwaukee, band or whatever. Russ, we are on to our beverage review segment. And what is a special thing about October and beer?
Of course, Oktoberfest.
There you go.
So we got we wanted to drink a couple Oktoberfest beers here, and the one we're drinking today is Oktillion by Ale Asylum.
Yeah.
The artwork's really cool. First off, so it's kind of like this woman in like a German, a German outfit. Like
not Lederhosen. What is it?
No, it's the female version, like the bar one. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone knows what it is.
St. Pauli's girl.
Yeah, kind of like milkmaid-ish. So, but yeah, it's cool. She has like kind of like a skeleton, like a Mexican face on it, which is kind of cool. Like, and the artwork is just really. It looks like a tattoo, right? Like it looks like tattoo art, to be honest. And like this beer,
Dia de los Muertos kind of thing.
Dia de los Muertos, and so this one is like it's a Marzen lager, and it's very good. It has like a little bit of the American and the European malt to give it that German feel to it. So you're getting that kind of soft, that bready flavor. You're gonna get low IBUs with these kind of lager beers. Yeah. This one's coming in at 20 IBUs, 6% ABV. Very good beer. It's kind of like. These Oktoberfests are nice because you get so used to these IPAs that are like kind of overwhelming. Yeah. It's nice to try to step back and get like a lager or a Marzen beer or, a Bock or something around this time of year. Maybe going not quite the stout where you got to go that dark yet, but you're getting into the amber range, right? Kind of autumn, you think of like the changing of the season. So you got your light beer in the summer, you go to like a little bit brown in the fall, and then you get to your dark beers where it's like drinking oil in the winter to kind of keep heat you up, And it's kind of my way to
That's what I was going to say too, when you're talking about the different beers that you can drink throughout the different seasons. This is kind of that introduction to a little heftier of a beer that you're going to need come like November, December. So the Oktoberfests have always been one of my favorite seasonals. There's some, brands that have Oktoberfests kind of out year round that you can grab anytime. But I really find it that the ones that come out seasonally from some of our favorite Wisconsin breweries, those are absolutely my favorites.
And we might have talked about this before, but the two types of yeast, there's ale yeast and lager yeast. So lager yeast likes cooler temperatures. Ale yeast can hit a little bit higher temperatures. So a lot of the lager beers, especially in the old days, were made in colder months. So that's why you're getting kind of that transitional, like the darker lagery beers. But yeah, I love this beer. I highly recommend it. You can pretty much find it anywhere right now. When Oktoberfest, you can find. I've seen it at Woodman's. Even Quick Trip had it.
Festival, I think.
Festival has it.
Carries it. And then always
Total Wine.
Total Wine.
They got like crazy amounts of beer.
Yeah.
So
and around this time of the year, they have they have a seasonal shelf. Well, it's bigger than a shelf, but anyway, the seasonal area of Total Wine for beers around this time is generally all Oktoberfest.
I love Oktoberfest
and it
beers.
is absolutely amazing.
I love this time of year,
and you could find the ones that are specific to this location, Wisconsin brewed, or you can step out and buy Oktoberfest from literally anywhere in the country, or even some of those export ones that are amazing too.
And we technically don't know the hops in this one, but I'm guessing it's kind of like a Hallauer or something similar to that, like more of your lager. That's why you're getting the low IBUs on it. Yeah. But again, this one is Oktillion by Ale Asylum. Go and check it out.
Grab a seat, gather round, join us for a chat. How many locos you at?
Holy smokes, folks, you know what that means. And do we got a special one for you today?
Holy smokes, folks.
How many locals you at there, guy? Holy cow. Here we go.
So
let's hear it, Eric.
Hey, the headline on this one is Impaired Driving in Menard's Lumberyard Leads to 5th OWI Charge. This one is in Minocqua. So the Minocqua man admitted to drinking a couple of beers prior to driving to Menards. So a Minocqua man who was allegedly driving drunk at the Superior Menards store has waived the time limits on his preliminary hearing in a Douglas County Circuit Court. The individual is 42 years old, is facing one count of fifth offense operating while intoxicated. He did make his initial appearance in court. This was June 10th last year. The court ordered a $1,500 cash bail and a $1,500 signature bond. According to the criminal complaint, a Menards employee reported an intoxicated driver picking up merchandise from the store, the lumberyard, more particularly at 8:40. Which, Russ, you and I were talking a little bit off mic, about, hey, did we think this was 8:40 or 8:40 p.m. or a.m.? Because a lot of Menards, they close.
The one by us, I think, is 10 p.m. The lumberyard, I think, does close at 9, though. So he might have hit the end.
I was very confused because the lumberyard, even by us, I think, is closed. Kind of on the earlier side. But Menards opens at like
just
6
loading
a.m.
up on some logs and some beers.
So the man later, who was later identified, obviously had a proper driver's license and everything. He was in the store when an officer from the Superior Police Department had responded, and the managers at the store actually were the ones that told police they could smell an odor of alcohol through his mask. So
Not
again,
good.
this is COVID times.
He's drinking hard to go through the mask. I mean, I've never hit that hard.
If he has a real like good mask and not just one of those like
cheapies,
t-shirt ones, then yeah, I'm really surprised that it was going through there. So the individual told the officer he had a couple beers that evening and had showed clues of impairment during field sobriety tests. So the store security camera showed the individual driving his vehicle, and he told the officer he had driven to the store. So right then and there, you've got everything you need. He smells like alcohol. You've got security footage showing he's driving. He admitted he was driving. He admitted that he was drinking. So all of these things lead
clues
up
of
to
impairment. Too,
exactly. So the individual had obviously 4 prior OWI convictions, and 3 were actually in 2004.
Holy cow, he went hard that year.
So you got a fucking trifecta in 1 year.
Oh, Jesus.
2004 was a hell of a time, though.
The trio of drinking.
We were in high school.
Yeah.
Really great time for us. Really awful fucking time for this guy.
Oh, yeah.
This one would be a Class G felony, and he would face a maximum of 10 years in prison and a fine up to $25,000.
This guy messed up huge, man, for drinking hard.
We did not look up this individual to see how this one played out because, again, we're not looking to shame the individual.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is just like messed up, though.
We're trying to educate everybody about the negativity and the absolute awfulness that goes along with these things. And we're not trying to make light of driving drunk, so don't miscommunicate and misunderstand that. But it's just something that's so prevalent in Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
So, and hey, come on now, this is ridiculous. It's 8:40. He probably got there at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
What did you need at 8 o'clock for home improvement, buddy? You're not doing the project, man.
I need a couple 2x4s and a couple brews.
So we don't know. We don't have an actual breath test number.
No.
We know that he failed field sobriety tests.
But what we do have is the age, the incidents prior. He failed a field sobriety test. We got a lot of information. Smell of alcohol through a mask, right? So, I mean,
it had to be pretty strong,
I think he's, I don't think he's hitting the 16 pass out local. I think he's still not that bad, but I do have a number, and I don't know if you do, Eric, or not.
I do, and I feel pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident on mine too.
So,
do you want to go on 3?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 10.
8.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close. I think we're gonna have to go with the 9 local on this.
We go with the 9 local.
I think the information's out there. We have this guy has some experience of drinking. He has a drinking experience.
And
put it on your resume.
And for our German listeners, we don't mean no loco. We mean 9 as in the number 9.
Yeah.
You know German more than I do. Do you know it in German?
9 is 9. Oh man,
9 is no.
I'd actually have to count again because.
Okay.
Yeah, Auf is 10, right?
I don't know. I don't know German.
6,
I don't even take German.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sorry, guys.
If you guys could write into the show and let us know what the number 9 is in German, that would be great. But we have settled. This is an official 9 Loco.
Hit the gavel. All right, today we're here with Steve from One of Us Brewing in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin. Steve, can you give us a little background on how the brewery got started?
Sure, absolutely. Actually, I think you were familiar with a brewery local to the area called Noggin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so a bunch of us, actually all of us have met. That's how we all met. We met at Noggin. We enjoyed the beers there. It's a great atmosphere, and we started talking about building a new place, a little bit different direction, and that's kind of how we got going with the group that we have.
That's awesome. And were you all home brewers before as well?
Well, some of us are home brewers, and some have had a little bit more professional experience at brewing, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So cool. So it's just a group of guys, like a ton of experience coming together and making some brews.
Yeah, actually, it's a big group of us. It's actually 10 owners, believe it or not.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Several home brewers and people with different backgrounds. Myself more on the business side, so it's a good balance of personalities and skills going into a business.
Well, that's the thing is you got to have all aspects of it covered. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and it was so cool. Actually, some of our listeners were the ones who suggested you guys, and actually Eric was coming back from Illinois and he saw you guys. He's like, "We got to get these guys on. Like,
yeah,
we have to get them on
very
the show."
cool.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
So then we're going to ask right now, is there any brews that we got to try, whether it's seasonal or anything that you recommend that's kind of a flagship for you guys?
So right now we have about 9 different beers available here. We're open outside on our patio. So we have 9 different beers available, several good IPAs, ambers. American Pilsner is phenomenal for nice, crisp, clean beer. But 2 beers that really come to mind are, one of them is our Afterglow Shimmer. It is a peach, mango, marshmallow, slushy goza. So,
oh, wow.
A lot going on.
Good.
Yeah. And the other beer is, it's called TOF, and it is a passion fruit papaya habanero blonde.
Ooh, wow. Those are some interesting flavors.
I love it.
Yeah, they're great. The peach mango marshmallow is, I'll probably get smacked for saying this, but I think it drinks like a slightly sour mimosa.
Okay.
It's got some sour to it, but it's very fruity. It's very refreshing on a hot day.
Yum.
The other one, TOF, is just a nice light beer, but it's got a fruity start and a little bit of a heat finish.
That sounds phenomenal. I cannot wait to get there and try those.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we wanted to know too, is there any events coming up that you recommend our listeners go and check out? Obviously we're going to be there either way at some point here, and we'll come talk more beer with you, but is there any events you would recommend?
So we are actually hosting an event here in a few weeks. We are going to have we had this earlier in the year. We're doing it again. It is going to be an outside beer festival on our property. We are bringing in multiple breweries, and probably have multiple. We had about 80 different beer samples last time, so the total remains to be seen this time. But we're hosting the party here October 23rd. You can buy your tickets online. They're $40 for general admission from 2 to 6, and $50 for VIP, which is an additional hour at 1 p.m. and that goes to 6 p.m. as well.
Very cool.
That is awesome.
Awesome. We're going to look into that. We might be there drinking some beers.
Absolutely.
So, that'd be awesome.
All right. And then so always before we let our guests go, we just kind of do 8 to 10 questions, just kind of some fun questions to find out how Wisconsin you guys are. So are you ready?
Sure. Go ahead.
So the first one I love to ask, and I always want to know, when it comes to One of Us beers, is there one you recommend using to make a beer brat with? Obviously, I hate wasting craft beer for a beer brat, but I like to try the different flavors. So anything you recommend?
Amber is a really good beer. It's a medium dark. It's not roast like a stout, but it does well in things. We have it mixed in with one of our partners. They mix into a cheese. We've used it for a beer batter, so it's a really good for formulas for like that.
Awesome. Yeah. And so the next one I got for you, kind of a controversial Wisconsin question. What do you consider to be the North Woods or up north of Wisconsin?
For me, the North Woods is around Danbury, which is just this side of Minnesota in the Northwest. That's where I go hunting every year. So very Northwest, hundreds of thousands of acres of open territory to hunt on.
Oh yeah.
And it's a nature paradise.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the next one I got for you, even if it's around your area, is there a supper club you recommend our listeners go and check out? I know like the Racine area, like that area kind of has some decent supper clubs.
Yeah.
So I don't know them here in Racine very well. I'm actually born and raised in Kenosha, been here my whole life in Kenosha. And the Village Supper Club on South Sheridan Road is just really well spoken for. It's a great experience for the supper club.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and so the next one I got is kind of one we always have to ask. Have you ever tailgated at a Brewers, Packers, or Badgers game, or have you hit all three?
I have hit all three, absolutely.
The trifecta. Holy smokes. Nice.
Yeah.
We are placing the crown on your head.
Yes, this is awesome. It's so cool. We've been having a lot. We normally don't. There's usually one where, like, we've been the brewers or just packers. Yeah. So it's so cool. Awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Great.
And so the next one we got for you is kind of a newer thing, but do you happen to have a quick trip rewards card in your wallet right now?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay, no worries. That's the new one, so it's kind of new. I just do it because I always get like a free sandwich, and like now I don't go to any other gas station. Just such a Wisconsin thing to do.
Quick Trip is the thing.
That's funny. I have to tell my wife because she shops there all the time.
Okay, cool. And then so we got a couple more for you. One is a kind of a Wisconsin thing. Have you ever hand milked a cow? Or milked a cow?
I have not.
You have not? Okay, that's okay.
Not in any fashion.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not a big deal. That's kind of just one that's a farm kid,
It's a more of an obscure one. Every once in a while we get the person that has gone to, I think the zoo has an area where you can do that. And then also I think at some county fairs where you can go check it out. But
right.
Awesome.
Well, not so much milking a cow, but I have fed a giraffe, but that's not in Wisconsin.
That's pretty cool.
Hey, that's actually really...
How Africa are you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it.
Yeah, no, that's really
awesome.
Cool. And so the last question I got, it's always the hardest one for any brewery to answer. Obviously one of us, awesome brewery, can't wait to get there and check it out. But it doesn't have to be in Wisconsin. But do you have a favorite brewery tour, or another brewery you recommend our listeners go and visit?
So obviously one of my favorite breweries in the area, and it's easy to give them a shout out, is our Noggin, right? They're really a big inspiration for us. Yeah. That's where we all met. If I were looking for something that's not so local, man, I just really love 450 North in Columbus, Indiana.
Oh yeah, sure.
Slushies and the beers they put out, their Corn Maze Beer Fest, and hopefully they get back next year. Fantastic brewery.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what our Noggin I love about it is their artwork is just so ridiculous. It's all that old 80s horror, I love that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything about it. Love it.
Exactly. And just the atmosphere. But Steve, we thank you so much on this Packer Sunday. We appreciate your time. We hope you have a great day and enjoy a couple brewskis later.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Cheers,
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.
Cheers.
All right, that concludes this episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast.
If you enjoyed this vulgar display of Wisconsin, please like and subscribe on whatever streaming platform you prefer. And remember to hit the bell on YouTube to be notified when we release new content.
Also, if you have any suggestions or ideas for future episodes, please send us an email at widrunkenhistory@gmail.com or head over to our Facebook and Instagram pages.
Thanks again for listening, and remember, as always,
watch out for deer on your way home.